They tried to turn the Tea Party into a dirty name. We've seen it before. They did it to Abraham. They did it to Washington. They did it to Lincoln. They did it to Reagan. They're doing it to you. Oh, well. Here's why. Because all of the powerful, all of the elite, the entire planet wants to go in one direction. International global law, international government, easy money, 75% tax rates, redistribution of wealth over the planet, mass denial and mass dependency. And then you come in. A small group of people that didn't even know each other 5 years ago. And you say, no, I think we should go that way. I think we should go the other direction. Be clear. Be honest with your contest every year. You're not going to ever be taken seriously by those who are entrenched in that power. They're not going to give up their power without a fight. But I got good news. A fight is exactly what they're going to get. We just have to stick to our principles. We have to stick to the facts. And then we go on from there. And we affirm freedom. We affirm small government. We affirm the Constitution of the United States. We affirm that every time the government tries to take $1 out of your pocket, they are stealing $1 from our children and our grandchildren. We have to stand and be firm and affirm that no party or no politician is ever bigger or more important than our values and our principles. Those are not easy things. You're mocked because no one thinks you can actually do it. No one thinks you actually mean it, but we do. When we stand for lower taxes, they'll tell you that you just want to kill the economy. You stand for smaller government, and they say you just want to starve the future. You stand for a strong dollar. I love this one. They say you don't even know how the monetary system works. You stick to the truth, and they will look you right in the eye and call you a liar. That's how it works. The single most important thing we can do is just remember who we are. Remember how we got here and stick to the truth. Remember, fashions come and go, but American principles never go out of style. Don't your neighbors say, don't worry about standing apart. Don't worry about being called the other. Wear it as a badge of honor, because anybody who's ever changed the world, they were most likely a loner, an outcast, a misfit, or my favorite, visionary. We are not well-behaved sometimes. We are not well-born. We are not well-connected. But neither was Jesus. He was born in a tiny corner of an indifferent empire. Abraham Lincoln was a failed businessman who failed 5 times in the political world. He failed in 5 different elections before he went, you know what, I'm going to give this presidential thing a whirl, and won. Martin Luther King was just a preacher in a small southern church far from the center of power, but they all believed in a few natural principles. Nature pressured or deterred because they knew a few things. And if the world isn't ready to believe it, so be it. They'll catch up. They'll come around. Because as Martin Luther King and others have said, truth shall set you free. Now here's the real truth. It eventually wins out. Eventually, just because things come your way doesn't mean we can sit back and wait for the tide of history to bend in our direction. We have to grab history right now. This is it. This is the moment that we are all truly born for. You were sent to this earth at this time for a reason. Find out why. Because now is the time that you grab history and you then generation of Americans in the past. If we want to do something great, we have to be bold, but we have to be principled, and we have to face our challenges. This is the time for dreamers, and this is the time for doers. We share a vision for the nation, but the question is, are we actually going to do it? Is there enough of us to do it? There is a big difference between daydreams and American dreams, and you have to know the difference so you can explain it to your friends. Daydreams are wishes and fantasies and smoke, but American dreams are very different. They are rooted in action, they are rooted in principles, and in the cold, hard realities of what brought us here in the first place. It's important to note that the Founding Fathers didn't say, hey, I kind of had this hope we're going to have a new country. They didn't say that. They didn't sit around and wish for it to happen. It's in the protection of divine providence. And then they took it a step further and said, we pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. They knew if they were going to be caught, they would be killed. There weren't a lot of daydreamers in Philadelphia. They knew. They put it on the line. And may I suggest, so shall we. This is bigger than just one election. This is about the future of America. Americans have always been the dreamers and the shapers of the future. We are the first nation in the entire world, the first group of people that said a man's work, his ideas belong to him. That was a new concept in America. We brought the world the trademark and the patent. That's what changed things. Abraham Lincoln said that's the fire of an... It's yours. It's yours alone. And it's yours forever. We are all created equal, but we don't all necessarily end up equal. It's what we do. That's an American idea. That's why people lined up to come to this country, and they still line up today to come here. But it doesn't mean that everybody succeeds. They don't. Not everybody's idea is the best idea. Some of the ideas come too early. You know when the first computer was invented? It was invented here in the United States by one of our founders in 1822. It's an enormous machine that was never finished in his lifetime. Somebody went back in the 1800s, late 1800s, and it's like a room, and all it does is like 2 + 2 is 4. Technology yet. That was an idea that was too early. Then there was the guy who invented the parachute jacket. He invented that. He thought that was great. And he decided he was going to show the whole world how great it is, and he jumped off the Eiffel Tower. And it didn't work. That idea just sucked. Some of the best ideas, however, the ones that don't kill you, actually come by accident. The guy who invented air conditioning was not set out to invent air conditioning at all. His name was Dr. Carrier. He thought he was actually a failure because what he set out to do was to purify and cool the air as they were digging the Panama Canal. And he thought if I could just cool and purify the air, people wouldn't get the fever, they wouldn't get typhoid. And it didn't work. People got the fever still. That was the wrong idea. And he thought he was a failure. And it actually took an entrepreneur, a businessman, a guy who was making... To Dr. Carrier, wait a minute. Tell me your mistake again. You can do what with the air? He said, well, I can cool the air, but it doesn't work. He said, wait a minute. Tell me, you can cool the air? Yeah, but it doesn't work. Don't you get it, dummy? He looked at Dr. Carey and said, can I buy that failure from you? And he did. That was a failure. He just didn't see it. He later bought himself back into his own failed idea. Then there's a story of a guy who left a stick in his soda pop outside on his front porch in 1905. It was a cold night. He got up the next morning and he went, oh, my soda pop with a stick. Pulled it out. That mistake became the $15 billion popsicle market. Frank Epperson. He was 11 years old. Maybe he was lucky, or maybe he was just lucky to be born in America, because that's how America is. We love dreamers. We always have. We love inventors. We love the people who see an opportunity right around every corner. We are the people that cured polio. We're the people that sent a man to the moon. You live in Arizona. We watered the desert and made it green until they started telling us, stop, you're causing hay fever. We made the Great Plains into the breadbasket of the world. One of the greatest contributions to the world is just this simple theory, that if you have a great idea, if you have a vision for something, and you will prosper beyond your wildest dreams. However, now that idea is threatened by a simple thing called greed. Too many Americans now just want what you have. Too many Americans see success and they're not willing to do the hard things. They're seeing the success of what other people have earned, and they'll say, I want that. But instead of working for it, instead of developing their own idea, they just want to elect somebody who will come in and take it from you and give it to them. They tear down the successful, they turn them into the most hated in our society. They go after their money, they go after everything that they built. They'll use a cute little phrase like, we're all in this together, and it's free. It sounds like what the mafia would say, quite honestly. We're all in this together. I'd hate to see something nice happen. Come from a society where dreamers and builders are celebrated and honored, to one where they are mocked and they are threatened and they are taxed to death. It's not a surprise why people are afraid to go into business now. It's a little hazardous to your health, you know what I'm saying? This election is all about, have you had enough yet? This election is, will the American people stand up and say, enough? Enough with the greed, enough with the jealousy, enough with the class warfare, enough with the rhetoric of division. Let's rebuild America. Let's reaffirm the American dream. Let's be the people we really are, a society that prospers, a society that cares for those who still have this mushy middle. A country where everybody gets a sticker for just showing up. I hate those stickers. I hate those trophies. I hate them. That's not who we are. I don't want to be part of a society where it's a free lunch and free health care and free solar panels and free Obama phones and somebody else picks up the check, because eventually you're the person that has to pick up the check. If you wanted that, we shouldn't have ever come here, because you can get that in spades in Europe. You can get that around the rest of the world. If that's the life you live, pack up your stuff and move to China. Go find a country where very few people actually prosper. Only the few connected people that get the perks, while everybody else gets the bottom of the barrel and can never change their station in life. That's not this place. But we compete fairly, and when somebody else stumbles and falls, we will stop and help them up and begin the race anew. We don't want trophies for participation. We don't want prizes for just showing up. There's no honor in those things. We are the people that change the world. We change the world. And we stand ready again to change it for the better. And this is not something that we just hope for. This is something that we know, because again, we've asked enough questions and we know who we are. We never, ever in our history have backed down from a challenge. We have never led from behind until now. We have never upped of speech until now. We have never given up our pursuit of mankind's desires to soar in the heavens until now. We've never had a president go on a talk show instead of meeting one of our greatest allies until now. We never had anything but AAA credit until now. We have never run trillion-dollar deficits year after year until now. We've never forced our citizens to pay a tax or to buy something just so they can remain legal until now. This election is enormous. This election defines who we are going to be in the future. It's whether we continue down this road of surrender and denial, or we go back on the road, get back on the track of rebuilding and rediscovery, a road that says clearly, with confidence, America's best days are gone. But it is not as easy as flipping a switch. We know that our politicians suck sometimes. In fact, our politicians suck most times. They are getting better because more and more are hearing the message from you. But it's not just finding the perfect candidate. We have to re-engineer what they have created for over 100 years. We just have to recognize that whoever we elect, we have to watch them. And they may disappoint us. But we can't deny the truth any longer. We're in trouble. A few weeks ago, NASA sent out our space shuttle, and they sent it back in Denver. It was on a trip from California, and they flew it over the entire country. And it gave most of mankind's power of discovery. Last Sunday, I was coming home from my daughter's wedding, and we landed, and just outside of the window was a 747. And my son, Rafe, said, "Dad, look, that's just like the plane that the space shuttle has." He was really excited to see it. But inside, as his dad, I couldn't help but feeling a little sad, because it wasn't just the final flight for the shuttle. To me, it was almost like a goodbye to an American age. An American age of manned space flight. American-owned, American-run. Now, what do? We hitch a ride with the Russians or the Chinese if they let us on? Is that what we're doing? We're the pioneers. We're not the hitchhiker. Our role of leadership to others, because we're told we can't afford it anymore, but that's not true. We must explore. We can explore. We can dare to dream. We can't afford not to. We just have to restore the truth and the faith in ourselves. We just have to start making the right choices and encourage the free market to step in and step up. And to those engineers and those scientists and those entrepreneurs that take the risk, some will fail, some will not. Some will lose everything, and others will become richer in their wildest dreams. But celebrate, that's America. Let the best man win. And beyond that, let their failures be the seeds for the next great success. For failure is a right we must fight as hard. And it's always about choices. And right now, America is being told to lower her sights, to stay on Earth, not to explore. Don't you dare even dream. But that's not who we are. So here is our challenge. Here is our mission. We must restore our willingness to dream again. We must restore our willingness to take chances again. We must begin a new chapter of American exceptionalism, a new century of exploration and discovery. And we're not going to get it from one political party or the other, or both, or one politician. We're not going to get it from just one dreamer. We get it when we start to dream and we start to do. But we rest on ourselves. We rest on the truth. We rest on the facts, because I believe Americans, no matter what that movie said, you can handle the truth. We're begging for people to tell us know that. Our people have gone astray spiritually. We got it. We have a weak dollar and a weak economy. We have put our troops in far too many places all around the world. They're all in harm's way and on missions that sometimes don't even make sense, and sometimes we don't even know what the hell they're even doing over there. And despite our military power, we're not feared anymore. We're not respected anymore. In the last couple of years, we're not honored. Our size and our attitude makes us a target. The Islamists around the world that grab power in the so-called wonderful Arab Spring Revolution, they're taking aim at us day after day, and they're hitting the target. But you know what? Those are our problems. I'm not afraid. Are you afraid? I don't think those are too big. To me, I got it. I mean, 9/11 proved to us who we were. We're Americans. We don't run from burning buildings. We run into burning buildings. Tables in the upright and locked position. We join arms. We stand together. Whether that's on the ground in Pakistan or the polling booths where the labor unions and the Black Panthers are trying to intimidate us, or in the aisle of an airplane flying over Shanksville, Pennsylvania, we're Americans and we move forward. A weak economy, a weak dollar, an empty cupboard, lost jobs, enemies around the world, those aren't problems to Americans. That's on our to-do list before lunch. And after lunch, what do you say? Let's cure cancer. That's who we are. That's who we need to believe in again. That's what we need to bring back. The spirit of doing things, of believing in ourselves, of taking on the big challenges. And for those who might be outside of this hall that are not willing to accept that, fine. Be found. We're ready to lead. If you're not ready to recognize the threats around us, if you're not ready to toil, if you're not ready to sweat, get out of the way. It's time we declare a second war of independence. But this one not with guns, but this one with our dreams and our might and our muscle. Declare your independence. America's about to get back on the horse and ride again out west, where the sky is still wide open, and there is no telling what's just over the horizon for those willing to dare to dream and dare to do. Let us each live our lives in a way where someone can say they behaved like a man determined to be free. We can do a better country, a better place, the kind of a place that the rest of the world will look to again and say, oh, thank goodness, America, it's good to see you back. The world is waiting for us. The world is waiting in Europe. They're waiting in China. They're waiting in Israel. They are waiting even in Iran. They want America to return to her glory, to be strong again, to stand for something again, to stand for freedom, and not just with our might, but with our ideals and our energy, our freedom. Declare firm reliance in the protection of divine providence, for he will shape us, he will guide us, and he will protect us. His will be done. After all, we can do. We need movies with them hand in hand and see it through to the end. We're going to lift people up. We're going to teach people up. And we are going to really live. We're going to get our hands dirty, and our faces will be covered with sweat in the end, because I got news for you. This isn't a 3-week thing, man. This is still just the beginning. We're going to get our hands scarred, and we're going to have some mighty calluses in the end in our hands, but in the end of the day, at the end of our lives, we will hold up our hands, and we will say, these are the hands of a free man. These are the hands of Americans. These are the hands that built and rebuilt the world. This is your moment. This is the American moment again. This is the moment we get up off the mat, we stop feeling sorry for ourselves, and we knock out, punch all of the May God bless you, and long live the Republic of America.